Chapter 34. Dorothy was crying. Why tomorrow? Because they know, he said for the third time. He pounded the bed. They know, they know, they know. And they're not going to wait. Plus, Pigeon Day is coming up. It's only going to get worse. Henry wouldn't hurt Nipper. Henry doesn't count. It's the others, she implored. But why? Why can't you just hide him in the house, or in my house? They'll find out. He spoke wearily, pacing. They were right in this room last night. The cat was here today. They know everything. They won't give up. What we really ought to do is take him out tonight, under cover of darkness. She blurted, No. So he shrugged. Tomorrow. She slumped facing the wall, her forehead leaning into it. Why don't they just let him alone? She looked at him as if the answer were his to reveal. What did he ever do to them? He looked up to the closet shelf where Nipper was roosting. He was born a pigeon, that's what. But how can you do it? She whined. The months of spring and summer had filed his nerves to a point. He was nearly galloping back and forth across his room, though he muffled the volume of his voice, lest his parents hear. His entire body screamed, How can I do it? How can I do it? Can't you get it through your head? They're going to kill him. Do you want him dead? Earlier in the day, Dorothy had seen the unflappable Nerf ball in the street and had retrieved it. She stroked it now in her lap. Her voice was barely audible. I just don't want him gone. He went to the window. A quarter moon was out. He began to weep. Do you think I do? The next morning, they met at 6 o'clock with bikes. Dorothy's bike had a wicker basket fixed to the handlebars. That's where the shoebox went. Palmer had dumped the toy soldiers onto the bed, poked air holes in the lid, and deposited the pigeon. They had told their parents that they were going on an early morning breakfast picnic to the park. In the basket also lay a box of donuts and many cartons of iced tea. They rode to the park and out of the park and out of town. They rode past the barbecue restaurant and the burnout barn and the golf course, whose dew-topped greens looked like silver ponds. They stopped only to switch bikes when Dorothy could no longer bear to transport the basket. They pedaled down roads they had seen only from a car before, and then down roads they had never seen at all. The only sounds were the whir of spokes, the crunch of tires. Up and down hills they rode and rode until it seemed they must be in another state, if not another country. Palmer, leading the way, pulled off the road by a field where horses were grazing. Let's eat, he said. Dorothy took the donuts and drinks from the bike basket. Is this where we let him go? No, not far enough. Not far enough. He punched a straw into an iced tea carton and took a long sip. He shook his head. We have to go as far as we can. Pigeons can find their way back from a long way off. Dorothy broke off a piece of donut and stuck it under the lid of the shoebox. It was immediately snatched from her fingers. I can't even find my way back from here. You're not a pigeon. He bit into a donut. Even far's not enough. It has to be confusing, too. She was alarmed. What do you mean? You're not going to blindfold him? He sneered. No, but something else. You'll see. He had taken only one bite of the donut. He slipped the rest into the shoebox. Let's go. Another endless stretch of riding brought them to an unfenced meadow. Palmer said, Here, and veered into it. Wait, he called back. Dorothy stopped at the roadside and watched Palmer drive her bicycle deeper into the meadow. The wheels jumped. The basket bounced over the clotted earth. Thistle tops erupted. Wildflowers wobbled as the bike charged in reckless patterns only a fly could follow. Circles, figure eights, zigzags, crazy doodles. This went on for many minutes when suddenly the bike bolted on a beeline into the woods beyond. Dorothy waited as long as she could before becoming impatient, then worried. She could not see an inch into the dense tree line. The sun was directly overhead, making a shadowless desert of the meadow. The handlebars of the bicycle were hot. Then, there he was, popping from the woods, pedaling furiously straight at her, the donut box flying in the basket. As he came closer, she saw that his face was red and wet, his mouth twisted. The shoebox was empty. He did not stop nor look at her, but charged with the clatter onto the road. It was a long time before he slowed down, allowing her to catch up. They switched back to their own bikes. They rode in silence. They asked directions at a gas station. They bought sodas and threw away the donuts. When they coasted the final hill into town, the streets were in shadow. Wearily, they climbed the stairs to Palmer's room. Nipper was waiting on the windowsill.